In this video, we're going to be looking at some of the recent Fallout 76 news, leaks, and more all around future content coming to this game. In this video, I'm going to be looking at some of the official stuff Bethesda has just released around their up-and-coming DLC questline, which interestingly will be the last major DLC questline of Wild Appalachia. But as we actually talk about that, I'm going to fill in some of the blanks with other information that we have through data mining or even potential leaks. And even beyond that, we actually got images of several new perks that might be coming to this game, which would be pretty interesting because it'd be the first newly added perks. And I actually think Bethesda might have accidentally let this one slip, but we'll talk more about that later in this video. If you guys do enjoy the content or are excited for the Fallout 76 DLC, you can leave a like or subscribe. Before we actually talk about the new DLC information, let's look at these new leaked perk cards. So this was actually added into the files of Fallout 76 with the most recent update, and these perk cards, even though we don't actually know their exact descriptions, are very revealing about a couple of things, and I'll allude to what I'm talking about as we go through this. So as far as what we actually have for the perk cards, we have the name of the perk card, as well as the animation of whatever the Vault Boy is doing on that perk card. Unfortunately, again, this means we don't have the descriptions or exactly what they're going to do, but you can infer a lot between the image as well as the name. Also, the fact that we're getting these rather odd animations, they only show up in a few places, like either on screen when the perk card perks, or sometimes when you're going through your Pip-Boy, makes it seem to me that this wasn't supposed to go live yet. This was probably accidentally shipped with the most recent live version of the game, but wasn't intended to. But either way, getting new perk cards or perks in general in this game is exciting. So what are they actually going to do? Well, looking at the first one, we do have Walking Arsenal. This one seems fairly intuitive, probably something to do with having weapons of all different varieties, and maybe you get a weight reduction or some kind of bonus to them. Run for Your Knife seemingly will have something to do with melee weapons and either how fast you can maybe run with them, or maybe how much AP is drained while sprinting with a melee weapon. Monster Muffler is kind of a mystery to me. A lot of the perk cards that actually affect power armor tend to show power armor on the Vault Boy. Maybe this has something to do with sneaking while in armor or something along those lines. Hack and Seek definitely seems like it's going to have to do with terminals. Maybe it'll just make it easier for you to actually get through a terminal, such as reducing some of the word choices or giving you more attempts than you typically have. Frog Legs almost certainly makes it seem like you could actually get increased jump height or maybe even bunny hopping, like jumping repeatedly. Right now, the Marsupial mutation already makes it so you could jump higher, so maybe this is an alternative to that. I think Fashion Finder is a luck-based perk having to do with discovering power armor, specifically on those power armor frames. Creature Crusher looks like a flat damage boost to all animals. Cowboy will give you a bonus when using revolvers, probably a damage bonus. And I bet Clubber is actually a bonus to blunt melee weapons rather than just melee weapons overall, making it a little bit more specific. And then finally we get to what is the most interesting for this video. For me, Briefcase Bloodhound is one of the most curious. It seems pretty obvious you're going to have better success actually tracking down or finding one of these briefcases. But what is that briefcase? It's really like nothing we've seen in the game thus far. Is it some kind of loot box or lunchbox like we've seen in the game's files? Or is it something new that's part of future content? And well, I'm pretty certain it's the second category there. Nuke briefcases have been something that you could find in the files of Fallout 76 for a decent amount of time now. There are a couple of messages you could find that seem to be relevant to this, but based off something else, I believe that this is actually part of the Nuclear Winter DLC, in which during this new game mode that has been confirmed, you're going to have to actually find these briefcases in order to launch nukes or mini nukes or an explosive of some kind. All of these new perks will launch with this new DLC, and you'll have to actually earn them in that game mode, whatever it ends up being, and then you could take them back into the more traditional modes of play. For Briefcase Bloodhound, obviously it would prove pretty useful to be able to find these briefcases, get 4 of them, and eventually launch a nuke more easily. So I'm speculating that all of these perks are going to drop with the new DLC known as Nuclear Winter that still has an unknown release date, just summer 2019. But moving on to things we actually do have a release date for and is a lot sooner. Fallout 76's next major patch and DLC wave is coming on May 7th. This is going to be known as Patch 9 as well as the Ever Upwards DLC. But also planned for this Patch 9 are several other things, like player vending, being able to decorate your camp with just miscellaneous objects like you could in Fallout 4. as well as whatever other new bugs, balance changes, or bug fixes they also introduce with this one. So taking that all together, it certainly seems like this might end up being the largest patch to the game thus far. But this next DLC, known as Ever Upwards, is going to be following the Pioneer Scouts. They're in effect pretty comparable to the Boy Scouts. You could actually find them pretty often in the game already. They have an existing camp in game, and even doing some of these side quests in Fallout 76, you can find out details about how certain characters ended up joining the Pioneer Scouts. Although more on that in a moment. So in game, the way this is going to work is, obviously the Pioneer Scouts are mostly gone because no human NPCs. The remnants are now just a few robots floating around. The head robot is going to be known as Jaggy, and it seems like he'll probably be one of the main quest givers for this. As you start out, they will try and recruit you. They started letting in older people, not just kids, because, well, they desperately are in need of new recruits. You will begin as a Tadpole Scout, hoping to work your way up to a Possum Scout, which seems to be the second rank, but also like the highest rank, at least based off the information we have thus far. In order to rank up, you're going to have to complete certain activities, as well as you will have the opportunity to earn certain badges. They mention these activities will be based around the core values of kindness, helpfulness, bravery, and growth. Through data mining, we know some of the activities are like cleaning up the camp, cleaning out some of the bugs of the camp. And to be honest, a lot of the things seemed pretty medial, not the most exciting tasks. But then you also will have the badge system, which sounds pretty cool. So when you're still just a Tadpole Scout, you're going to have access to certain badges. And in essence here, you're going to have to complete a certain activity and you are rewarded a certain badge as a result. Some of the named ones are swimming, archery, cooking, athletics, and others. The archery in particular is pretty interesting. Through data mining, we know there is a bow and arrow in Fallout 76's files and has been there since release. I suspect that this will finally get published and you can actually use this following the update, but once you actually level up and become a Possum Scout, you'll get access to even more difficult challenges. And completing those will give you even higher tier badges. You'd actually turn these badges into a vending machine to get themed loot. Apparently there's going to be several Pioneer Scout vending machines that you will be able to spend your badges in. I honestly haven't seen too much about what the rewards from this could be, but I would assume various outfits, maybe custom bow and arrows or things like that. More explicitly through data mining, we know of 2 new daily quests that are coming as a result of this. The first one is Stings and Tings, the second one is Operation Tidy. I'm pretty sure the first one is clearing out the bugs from the camp, while the second one involves actually cleaning up the camp itself, and it seems pretty likely that the first time you complete them, you'll actually earn a merit badge upon completion. We also know of at least 1 or 2 new events coming with Ever Upwards. Through data mining, we know of an event that will be called Campfire Tales. It seems like this will more or less be a little story told by a robot, but it's actually kind of a choose your own adventure style story. So seemingly everyone participating in the event will actually be able to choose like go right or go left. The votes will likely be tallied, and then whichever has more votes will be the chosen answer. And that's just really cool. It would actually be extra cool if the rewards of the event are based on this. We learned of that event through data mining, and it's called Campfire Tales. From Bethesda officially, they named something called Terrors in the Dark, or refer to it that way. I'm not sure if these are one and the same. Bethesda describes Terrors in the Dark as being a real nighttime story where creatures might come out and attack you as you're listening. I'm not sure if these are one and the same or 2 totally separate things, but either way, that choose your own adventure mode and quest sounds really cool. And actually a shout out to Bethesda for this one. Towards the end of their description of this event, they mentioned that the enemies are geared for Possum or Tadpole Scouts, so it might be easier for more seasoned players. I really like that. I feel like that could be in response to the burrows. I've heard that to some degree Bethesda acknowledged the hyping around the burrows was done in not the best manner, and I feel like being upfront and saying right here, hey, this is going to be a new event or a new quest or something, but it might not be for high levels is good. Now I know what to expect and I'm not going to get overexcited for it. A lot of you might look at this as minor or forgettable, but I feel like this is Bethesda learning from a past mistake and growing from it, and I do personally really appreciate that. But also with this new DLC, as you actually do reach the Possum Scout level, you will gain access to a new backpack, and this is actually really awesome. So these backpacks will serve several different functions. Of course, first and foremost, they actually do increase your carry weight, but even further, they're going to have a variety of different skins and customization options. So you get the basic one that just will increase your carry weight. We've seen this in the files of Fallout 76 and even in some of the dev rooms. Bethesda shared this image of all these different designs of backpacks. Unfortunately, not all of them are making it in. This is just the concept art, and they don't actually say how many options we'll have or which of these actually ended up in the game. We know at least a couple of them based off the image I just showed you, as well as through other images shared by Bethesda. But there's also going to be functional customization options. You'll be able to attach different mods to this backpack, including ones that will actually increase your carry weight capacity even further than it already does. Other things like armor plating that will give you more damage resistance, or even a refrigeration unit that will make it so it takes longer for your food to spoil. But those utility mods, such as the armor plating and refrigerator, will actually eat up some of the carry weight space to balance them. Through data mining, we get a better idea of the actual concrete numbers of these. As all of you can read right here, it does say that the base carry weight increase is 75, but then through some of the various mods it will up that. And apparently there's going to be 5 separate mods that will increase the carry weight, ranging from low to very high increases. And one of the most interesting parts about this, Bethesda actually says you'll be able to use these with power armor as you're in power armor. That'll be a serious buff to carry weight, especially if this is compatible with the excavator power armor's 100 carry weight bonus. Also, if you're wearing an existing outfit that has a backpack, such as the Trapper outfit, you will visually see the backpack that is associated with the armor, but still get the benefits of the backpack you're wearing. So I would say all in all, this sounds pretty exciting. It's definitely an update to look forward to. It seems like we're getting a decent chunk of new content. Although, even though I know some people have been talking about these new perk cards, I'm pretty confident that's not what we're getting with this next DLC, and it's actually going to be a couple months away. Although we do also have the question of when Arcos Pharma is actually shipping. We know that's coming in Wild Appalachia. We've heard details around it being a nice high-level dungeon. We just don't know when it's actually going to come out. There also is that mysteriously added vault. So there's still a lot of questions, a lot of mysteries. Maybe we'll see some more surprise DLC drops like we just had with the Sheep Squatch, and that ended up being one of the coolest DLC drops we had thus far. Either way, as always, again, I thank you all for watching. Hopefully you enjoyed this video, and with that, I hope to see you all next time. Later.